Hello everyone, KirbyVolt here, and welcome back to another edition of KV's Chat Corner, where I just talk about things going on, or like a topic or something or other. Very informal, not edited very much. If I'm making noises with like clicking, like click, 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 blah, 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 I probably will do that. Thank you very much for everyone on your support of the first little thing I did, because these are simple, easy videos for you to make as long as my computer doesn't crash and whatnot. There is content coming that's actually gameplay content, and I was hoping to have one up today. Today is actually April 27th, but I'm waiting on a piece of an asset for that particular video, and once I have the asset, I'm super excited about because, oh my gosh, it's so cool. But once I have that, then I'll go to that, and then I will hopefully have time to start the other stuff, because I basically have another game pretty much all recorded, ready to go. Thought the phone was ringing, but it wasn't ringing, so that's fine. I say a lot, my apologies for that, as always. I want to start recording another game, but that's going to be a long RPG game, and I also am running out of space on my computer, so I should probably invest in another hard drive so I can store stuff there, so I need to be looking into that as well sometime this weekend, hopefully. Anyways, this is probably going to be going up on April 28th, I'm going to guess. These are going to probably be like every other Friday videos, I think. Maybe I'll have one next week, because next week is special for me, but this week is also special, because as of today, the day I'm recording this, it is April 27th. Now, it's April 27th where I live in Minnesota, but, say a lot. And there you go. You know where I live now if you didn't know where I lived before. Ooh, I'm listening to this really cool. I'm listening to this really cool remix I put in the description below. It's really, really awesome. So, April 27th, this is the 25th anniversary or 25th birthday for Kirby. I'll probably post something on Twitter as far as like making like some kind of cool picture, because I have a lot of things I'd want to put up, because I have a bunch of different Kirby plushies and a bunch of Kirby games and those robot Kirby cards and all the Kirby amiibo that are currently available. I love Kirby. So what I wanted to do is just give happy birthday to Kirby first of all, because I mean, Kirby series is super important to me. I mean, my name I go by is KirbyVolt for a reason. And I initially, like, for a little while when I was, like, in high school, I thought, like, maybe I should get rid of that, because it's kiddish for me to be putting Kirby in my name, because Kirby's not, like, me. It shouldn't be part of my username, but I guess I just kind of stuck with it, because Kirby is super, super important to me. It's kind of the reason I got into playing video games in the first place, because one of the earliest games I played on my Game Boy that I got when I was 6, right after kindergarten, was Kirby's Dream Land 2, and I fell in love with that game, and I love that game so much, and the entire Kirby series. I've played pretty much every Kirby game that there is, except, I think, excluding one, and the one would be that weird Satellite Vision baseball game that was only released in Japan. I'm not sure if that was actually, like, a unique game, or if it was just like a baseball game that happened to have a Kirby skin on it. But besides that one, I've played every single Kirby game, and I own every single Kirby game in some capacity. I mean, I don't have physical cartridges for the NES or the Super NES or the N64, because I don't own those systems, so I don't see a need to actually have those. But otherwise, I own every Kirby game, and I love the Kirby series. And I'm sorry this isn't going up on Kirby's actual birthday, because I still need to do some editing and whatnot, and I want to play games tonight too. Not Kirby games, sadly, but I could play some Kirby games too as well. And just, oh my gosh, I love Kirby. So one thing I wanted to note is that Kirby's Western anniversary will be in August. And let me actually get the actual date up so I'm not pulling stuff out of my butt. Also, I'm talking loud. You can tell if I'm talking louder, that's because no one else is home except me and my dogs. And if I'm talking softer, that means other people are home, and I'm trying to be respectful, because I'm silly like that. Okay, so yeah, August 1st and August for North America, and August 3rd for the PAL regions of 1992 is when Kirby was released into the West. So I really wanted to do some big plan for Kirby's 25th anniversary on his Japanese anniversary, but due to a lot of this kind of issues that came up, partial laziness on my part as well, but issues like just kind of not in a good mood, you can check out my previous chat corner for that. I didn't get around to doing that, but I'm hoping now with the summer and being a little more free, I can get around to that, because essentially what I want to do, and just kind of like a big spoiler, because I want this to be a surprise, but I'm too excited about it because I really want to do this. I want to do a big retrospective of every Kirby game, just a video on every Kirby game. It could be like 5 minutes long, it could be 15 minutes long, it doesn't matter, just like one a day throughout pretty much the entire month of August, because all the games are fantastic to me, and I love every single one of them. I don't really think there is such thing as a bad Kirby game. I think they all have their own merits. Some have some more flaws than others, but all of them are still fun, adorable, and just a wonderful, wonderful time as for playing video games. So what I thought about today is that what I could do instead of because I want to do like the big retrospective and like talk about like in depth, try to figure out the history of some of that stuff as well, do some research. I can instead just do like really quick little blips here and there about just all the Kirby games on the whole, and maybe try to have it just like minute go talk about this Kirby game. So I have the entire list of Kirby games up right now, and just oh my gosh, I feel like if I started with Kirby's Dream Land, that wouldn't be doing it a service, because the major Kirby game for me is Kirby's Dream Land 2. That's one of the first video games I ever played that I enjoyed, I should say. That I played and enjoyed. The first video game I ever played was The Lion King on Game Boy. It's like the SNES and Genesis Lion King. It's frustrating, and you can feel accomplished with it, but it's frustrating. And the next game I played was Super Mario Land, and the less said about that, the better, because I don't think Super Mario Land 1 is a very good game. So, actually, it's not a bad game. It's just, it is not a game for a 6-year-old to play, at least to me, because it just doesn't, it sends you back to the title screen after you get a game over. That's not fair. But Kirby's Dream Land 2, my sister and I both got Game Boys around the same time. She's 2 years older than me, and so she got this game that had this cute little hamster on it with this little pink thing riding on the hamster, and I was like, I want to play that game. And it's like, well, no, it's your sister's game. You can't play that game. So I actually, at one point, I think during that summer, I snuck into her room and just took the game cartridge, because she wasn't really playing her game system that much compared to me, and so I was like, well, 2 strikes, I'm not really into this whole like video game thing so much. So picked up Kirby's Dream Land 2, and then just like right away, just from just how it starts, how adorable everything is. The music is great. I love like just how simplistic and fun it is. I liked playing as Rick and Koo and Kai, and just, oh my gosh, I have such fond memories of Kirby's Dream Land 2, and it's thanks to Kirby's Dream Land 2 that I just really enjoy video games, period. And from there, I basically would always be looking out for Kirby games. That's why I eventually went to then play the original Kirby's Dream Land, which was really good too. I really enjoyed that. I loved like in the original Kirby's Dream Land, because I don't think I got to the last area of Kirby's Dream Land 2 for a while. I think I was stuck at Red Canyon in Kirby's Dream Land 2 for a very long time, because I was really bad at fighting Mr. Shine and Mr. Bright, who are the bosses of that area. So I got Kirby's Dream Land 1, and just I beat that game in my first try, because it's meant to be a super easy game and applicable to people, but accessible for everyone. Wait, what's this? Oh my gosh, I'm listening to this remix too. I'm just like, dang, this is cool. I gotta listen to this on my own time. Because it has, I love the ghost house music from Kirby Triple X, really good. Anyways, so yeah, I think at this point we're just gonna tell my personal story with Kirby. Those will probably be sprinkled in when I do the retrospective, because I'll do the retrospective in order of the game's release instead of order of I played them. And this is basically just going off memory here, because I love Kirby. So, Yeah, so I played the original Kirby's Dream Land. I remember, like, one of the greatest moments of playing original Kirby's Dream Land is when you get to Mount DDD, Stage 5, for the very first time. Just how it builds up. Like, it's just they always have little, like, those intro cutscenes in the Kirby's Dream Land game where, like, show a little thing happening before you get to the stage. And in Mount DED, all it shows is just this blank screen. Kirby walks up to the Warp Star, and it just goes, doo. And the moment he starts taking off, then the DED theme starts up. It's the first time, if you're playing them in order, this is the first time you'd ever heard the King DED theme, and it's so good. I love the original Game Boy King DED music. It's so good. And I remember, like, you get to the end of that, and then you finally fight King Deity in the ring. I just love it. And he makes the little funny noise when you beat him out of the castle, and his castle gets sad when you beat him out of there. And then the ending credits are just, oh my gosh, and his music's so good, and I love the song. It makes me cheer up when I think about the song. The ending credits to the original Kirby's Dream Land is so good. And Spring Breeze and Superstar does a disservice by just flashing through it really fast. I mean, it makes sense as to why it does it that way, but the original one's really good. And then King Dedede shows up and he's like, hey, here's this extra mode, and it's just like, oh, that's so cool. And I think after that, I would have played Kirby Star Stacker, which was one of my first puzzle games I ever played. And to this day, that's still my favorite puzzle games ever. It's really accessible, very cute. I love how you get to use Kirby's animal friends, Riku and Kine, as the blocks and whatnot. That was really cool. I remember I got that, like, I must have gotten that in 1997 because I got that using birthday money. And it was just so cool to, like, because now I'm still playing a Kirby game, but it's in a different genre, and it still works really well. Nothing feels forced or rushed about it. It just feels like they're having their own fun doing their own things. I never got to, unfortunately, play any of the multiplayer in that game because of the link cable and whatnot, and I wasn't really familiar with that when I was a kid. But still, like, I love the round clears. I love, like, at the end of a round clear, you get the little cute pictures. Like, there's, like, the one from the second round clear. It shows, like, Kirby is a pirate on Kine, and it's just like, oh man, like, there's such cool little details. I loved that stuff as a kid, and it was a fun thing just to play because it was a good road trip game because you could keep doing all the round clears, and then eventually there's also the challenge mode and the time attack mode. Time attack mode is super fun, especially if you do it in insane difficulty where everything just drops super fast and you have to just figure out how to make all the combos and chains and whatnot. And challenge mode is super fun if you put it in the easiest difficulty, because then you can just basically say how long can I go and how big of a score can I get, and it's just really cool to do that. So I think then after that, I'm trying to think. I think I would have played Kirby Pinball Land as the fourth Kirby game. I think I'm not 100% sure on that, but I think that's right. And Kirby's Pinball Land is a game I still have not legitimately beaten. I've using codes to get to the final boss because it's a brutal game. It's the third Kirby game, and it's brutal. It's pinball themed and is dang good with the theming of it. There's only 3 boards, but how they make the different pinball boards and, like, the boss fights and whatnot, really cool. I really like the concept of it. It's just a super difficult game. If you're not really into pinball, I'm not a super big pinball fan myself, then it's a really hard game, and I think that all culminates with the final boss, the final DDD fight in that game. Has unique music, and I love the unique music in that, but it is such a weird and, like, crazy final boss and how you do things, and I think it's unfortunate that game came out when it did in 93. It probably would have done really well if they had made it for probably the Game Boy Color or for the Game Boy Advance, because 1999 is when they made, like, Pokemon Pinball, and then Mario had a pinball game, and Metroid had a pinball game, so it's like, dang it, Kirby was setting the record here, and everyone's just like, but Mario Pinball. It's like, no, Kirby probably did it first. I mean, I think Mario characters are in the NES Pinball game. I don't know for sure, but still. It was also cool because of I'm trying to remember. I don't believe there are abilities in Kirby Pinball Land. I'm pretty sure. I mean, I'm not referencing anything at this point. I'm just going off of memory. I haven't played Kirby's Pinball Land in a while because it's I'm really bad at it. I'm just, but truth be told, it's just that's it. I'm really bad at it. But that was still fun to kind of like learn about that game and kind of just see once again another Kirby game in a different genre. So I don't think I played many new Kirby games until 2001, unfortunately, because I only own a Game Boy. And at this point, I had played all the Kirby Game Boy games except for one, and I had unfortunately just never seen that one anywhere when I was going to like my local Funko Land or something like that. Remember Funko Land? There you go. There's a 90s reference for you kids. If you don't know what Funko Land is, don't worry about it. But one thing a lot of my friends and I would do when I was in elementary school is that if we did a sleepover, we would rent an N64 and rent Mario Party 2 and Super Smash Brothers. And I love Super Smash Brothers because Kirby was in it. And I was just so happy because I'm just like, oh, look, I can play as a favorite character and beat up Mario because I had a not big opinion, or not great opinion of Mario at the time. So I could beat up Mario, not that anyone played as Mario, but still. It was fun to play as Kirby because you could turn into the stone and just, I loved how adorable everything was in that game, and to kind of learn later, like, the history of that game, how that was technically kind of, that came from Kirby's creator as well. Creators, I should say, because I think Iwata is as important to mention with the Kirby series as Sakurai is. So that was I was really neat. I was really excited for that game. That was always fun to play, just playing with friends, and I still have fond memories of the N64 Smash Bros. It may not be the best Smash Bros, but dang, it's still a lot of fun. I don't have any like really horrible memories of that game. It's just love it. And so the next Kirby game I would have played then, it would have been Kirby Tilt and Tumble for the Game Boy Color. And that was a super fun game. I have an unfortunate memory of that, in which I gave it to like a young neighbor at the time, and he somehow figured out how to erase all my data. I don't know, but I was very upset about that because I had a 100% file in that game. I have not come back to do that because 100%ing that game is crazy because you have to beat the game 2 times, and there's some other like nutso stuff with that. But despite all that, the overall concept of the Kirby Tilt and Tumble with the motion control, the tilt controls and whatnot, that was super cool. And I don't think people realize just like how revolutionary that is, because nowadays there's tilt controls and motion controls and other things, and people just complain about them and whatnot. But to think about it, a tilt control on a portable Game Boy game, that's really insane. I mean, the cartridge itself is really weird looking to support like the tilt sensor in it, and it's sometimes a little finicky, but there's lots of cool mini games in it. Like there's Kirby's Chicken Race, where you basically just shake your Game Boy as much as you can and hope that you don't fall out off the cliff at the end of it. There's also this cool memory game where Kirby just dancing. I love all the little music in it. Has a lot of good music, a lot of some recycled music from Kirby's Dream Land 1, but redone, so it sounds a lot better. Like they figured out, like, because I feel like the Game Boy itself has a bit of a better sound quality, at least to me, than the NES. And with the Game Boy Color, they somehow are like, we can make the sound quality even better than the original Game Boy. So a lot of the returning Kirby's Dream Land songs in that game sound even better, which is really cool. It's kind of just weird and what it is. Like, today it feels like that would just be like an eShop type game, but for the time, it was super cool that we had this big, giant Kirby game that was just, you tilt around, and it had little voice clips and everything. Kirby was super adorable, and I loved it so much. It was so much fun to play, even if it was kind of a hassle, because I'd have to basically hunch over the backside of a chair so I could have a lamp direct, like, right over the Game Boy, so I could see what I was doing. But, that's a game I would hope that, like, I don't know, make a sequel to it. They were going to at one point, but they didn't. But you could put that like on the Switch or something, or just like, re-release it on the Switch or something, because they have tilt controls. You could just do it that way. I think that'd be great, because then you could just have a nice backlit screen for that. I mean, even if you were to do it on like a Game Boy Advance SP or something, actually, if you didn't Game Boy Advance SP, it would just be awkward, because the tilt sensor needs to be placed in a certain way for it to work. But still, I just really liked the game. It was great, and I should really go back to it someday. Probably with my Game Boy player, because the best way to play any game is by taking a GameCube and tilting it all around, because who cares? Who cares if it's a console? It's now my tilting cube. It's oh man, I've kind of been ignoring some of the music, but it's like, oh yeah, this song, I love the song from this Kirby game. So let me think. After Tilt and Tumble would have been Melee. And Melee introduced me to a lot of new Kirby things I wasn't aware of, thanks to the trophy section in Smash Melee. So I really liked a lot of that kind of stuff. I have my own, like, about Melee, but that's not really to do with the game at all. The game itself is fantastic. It's more with people. So, and I still could play as Kirby in that game. And there was a new stage they had a new Wispy Wood stage. I really like that because on the side of it there is these falling star blocks. So it's Kirby Star Stacker was in the stage. I was so happy about that. And I'm glad it returned in Brawl at least for another go around. There was also the classic 64 Kirby stage as well, and then okay, whatever. I was trying to look at a message here and my computer's like, no. Okay, so where was I? Yeah, Melee. That was fun. And then the Fountain of Dreams stage. That is a gorgeous stage. I like the rendition of the Gourmet Race theme they do there. I didn't know at the time what that song was. A lot of people were like, it's the Kirby theme. Like, no, Kirby theme is Green Greens. I mean, come on. It's Green Greens. If you haven't played a Kirby game, that's fine. But the Gourmet Race theme is not Kirby's theme. That's his theme for when he wants to have a rivalry of DDD. I loved it's also how I had a lot of fun times with that game as well. I like playing as like other characters too. I think in like the if you would wait on the title screen, it would go through like this whole like montage and show off all the different currently available playable characters at the beginning of the game. And when it did the Green theme with Kirby, I think the other character would show off after Kirby was Ness. And I thought that was appropriate because they both technically, I mean, one's Itoi and whatnot in his company, but Hal technically helped save Earthbound and make it and publish it in the way it was able to be published. So I kind of feel like Ness is like Kirby's cousin, and I was really happy that they're together. I just love both of them. They're both actually voiced by the same voice actress. So that's really cool. So that was kind of cool. I got to learn more about him and just more about Kirby because that's where I saw I learned about how there was a fighter Kirby apparently. I was like, whoa, what's this? I learned about Meta Knight. That was my first introduction to Meta Knight, was the trophy in Super Smash Bros. And just there's a lot of cool stuff, and it was like nice jumping board for me to like, oh man, there's so much more Kirby stuff I haven't experienced yet. I'm so excited to see all this Kirby stuff. And so that would then lead into the next year, in which Kirby got an anime. And to be fair, I'm not a big fan of the anime, but it was still cool in its own right that it happened at some point, and that it happened. And actually, now that I think about it, well, I didn't own it. I did play Kirby 64 at one point before Melee came out when I was like on a family trip or something, because there was a hotel that had like an N64 you could rent games off of and stuff. So I played Kirby 64 for a little bit, and for a little bit I played of it, I really enjoyed it. But I'll get to Kirby 64 and actually talk about Kirby 64. Maybe I won't get to it. I don't know. I'm just Kirby. Kirby. That's the name you should know, and that is the theme song from the anime. At least in the West. Both animes have really odd choices that I do not approve of, but it was still cool because it really brought Kirby into kind of more of a mainstream. And from there, we got the remake of Kirby's Adventure, which was Kirby Nightmare in Dreamland, which is my first Kirby Game Boy Advance game, and I love that game. I loved a lot of the bosses, except Meta Knight. I don't like that it forced you to have to use an ability, because I don't like using sword ability that much, to be honest. But everything else was super, super great. I loved, it was kind of cool learning, like, Origins, because I didn't know, like, the Red Canyon music. That was technically a Game Boy rendition of the Yogurt Yard music from Kirby's Adventure. And I got to see, like, classic bosses, like, where they came from, like, Mr. Shine, Mr. Bright initially came from Adventure, and all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of cool to see all of them. And I also just loved the sprite style. Like, all the Kirby games that use the Nightmare in Dreamland sprite style look super visually pleasing to me. Like, really great. It's not the old 8-bit whatever, but it's just how, like, they all look super they just look really fleshed out. I just really loved it. And I also like that in that game, when you go to fight DDD, it plays now that cool, like, rendition of the Fountain of Dreams, and, like, how magnificent they made, like, the whole background for that area, kind of basing it off the Smash stage, was really cool. And then after that, then would have been Kirby Air Ride, which is probably one of the best party games on the GameCube. Period. It has a lot of great stuff going on to it, and I don't know, maybe I'm just exhausting myself here, but I'm just like, oh my gosh, because I could just go on and on and on and on about Kirby, but Kirby Air Ride is amazing, and more people should play it, and I really want there to be a Kirby Air Ride too. And there's really all there is to say about that, in all honesty. I mean, I could go on and on about the City Trail, but I should probably try to save some of this enthusiasm and discussion for when I do, if I do, hopefully I should do, force me to do, the retrospective in August. Because there's a lot to talk about Kirby Air Ride in terms of just, like, how great, like, the control scheme is, from the simplistic controls to all the different modes, the introduction of the infamous Sakurai checklist that first appeared in Kirby Air Ride, and those checklists are just freaking crazy. City Trail, obviously, is probably one of the biggest, awesomest things from Kirby Air Ride, which is why, like, we really want a Kirby Air Ride 2, because the City Trail with multiple cities, or giant cities. Think just like, Kirby Air Ride 2. That's probably why I don't want to talk about Kirby Air Ride that much. Anyways, next then, it would have been Kirby and the Amazing Mirror. It's the only Kirby game to not feature DDD. So, right away, sorry, but tick off, because no, you got, DDD has to be in all the games. DDD is just as important as Kirby. Thank you very much. Meta Knight, you don't get Stardom because you randomly just got it. Meta Knight didn't do much before the Kirby anime. He was like in 2 or 3 games, and that was it. All of a sudden now he's like, Meta Knight. I'm like, no, DDD. You don't take away DDD spot, Meta Knight. Besides all of that, besides my silliness, the whole, like, concept of it being this kind of exploratory game is really exciting and really fascinating. And I think at this time is when I started dabbling in emulators, so I had probably played the Great Cave Offensive at this point, as far as Kirby Superstar goes. I don't, like, fully remember, to be fair, so I can't say for certain. But I like that concept of just being able to kind of explore the entire world, use different abilities to solve different puzzles, because Kirby's Dream Land 2, Dream Land 3, and 64 all kind of work around this whole concept of solving different puzzles within the games in order to get their true ending. And so Amazing Mirror is really built on this concept of solving puzzles to unlock more of the world and learn about more of the world. So that's kind of, I like that. And a lot of the music in Kirby the Amazing Mirror is fantastic. I mean, the music in all the Kirby games are super great, but a lot of the really good music pieces that I always think about when I think about Kirby games that aren't just like Green Greens or Bubbly Clouds or whatever are usually from that game. Like Rainbow Root's super great. Candy Constellation, Peppermint Palace, lots of really good songs in that. And of course, it was also, while Nightmare in Dreamland could be multiplayer, they really upped the ante as far as multiplayer, to the point that it actually doesn't kind of work for Amazing Mirror, because I've never played with 4 people. My understanding is if you play with 4 people and play the game as they intend, for everyone to just kind of wander around, do whatever you want, the game lags, like, terribly. I feel bad for it, but I mean, that's still, like, it's super impressive and super, like, crazy how, like, just how dedicated they were to this concept, and how, like, just kind of revolutionary it was at the time. Because remember, like, there were, like, this is the first, there's some other 4-player Game Boy Advance games, like the Super Mario Kart Super Circuits, and I think 4 Swords, but those all relied on, like, the players being in relatively the same area. But with this game, the players could just kind of explore wherever the heck they wanted to. And I've only played it multiplayer a few times with a few friends, and it's only usually been 2-player multiplayer, so not the full experience. But that would be a cool game to either, like, re-release on a virtual console service, or on a virtual console service that can let us use the multiplayer, I should say. Because releasing it on the Wii U virtual console service is silly. But yeah, a lot of great stuff in that game, and there's also there's a lot of cool things in that as well. Like the abilities got a little more defined, I think. Well, Superstar did introduce the whole concept of abilities having like these move sets to them. Amazing Mirror made them not as crazy, but still felt accessible and at least a little more diverse than say Nightmare and Dreamland, where you just did the one thing. And then from there would have then been Canvas Curse. Yeah, so I'm just kind of going off the line here. Canvas Curse is a really cool game in its own right. I love the remixes in it. I have never been super good at it. You can see the Let's Play to attest to that. And a lot of the medals and stuff, I'm never gonna bother to get all those medals because I just know I'm sorry, I'm not good enough for it. But I like the concept of it. It really used the DS concepts in its initial phase really well, I think. And it was just fun to, again, just explore all the different worlds, see the kind of cool things they would do with it. And I also really like the boss mini games, especially like the deity cart chase or the paint roller paint panic where you had to draw the picture. Like those are really fun. I really like those. Those are just fun mini games in their own right. And so then from there would have been Kirby Squeak Squad, and then we'll finally get to the Wii. The Virtual Console shows up, and I can talk about all the other Kirby games that I missed because I eventually get all of them. And Squeak Squad is, unfortunately, a lot of people don't seem to have a really high opinion of it. And I don't know why, because it's honestly just as good as a Kirby game as you could probably get. It's in the similar light as the original Kirby's Dream Land games, except for the ability powers. I like that they kind of tried to bring in the combining abilities. It's not really utilized that much at all, but it's still a kind of cute idea that you could have things like frost bombs or a flame sword and that kind of stuff. And I like a lot of the cuteness that is within Squeak Squad, just because it's really cute, adorable story as it starts off, and it kind of, as in traditional Kirby fashion, it kind of just starts escalating into this like, wait a minute, what kind of horrible monstrosity have we unleashed? Because it's always, this is a Kirby game, like the usual platform Kirby games, it's always like, oh, it's like some horrible monster thing that we didn't know about that just kind of shows up at the end of them. Usually. Yeah, it was Kirby Squeak Squad. I also like that it had some cool things you could like discover with the different treasure chests. So it had a bit of that Amazing Mirror-like feel while still being a traditional Kirby game. So you just go from stage to stage to stage as opposed to exploring. And I like that some of the stuff you could get were like ability scrolls, which could make abilities stronger and that kind of stuff. That was really cool. But then, finally, we get to the Wii, and this is when I finally start playing Kirby's Adventure, Kirby's Superstar, Kirby's Avalanche. That game's weird. Kirby's Avalanche, it's a Puyo Puyo clone, and it has really weird voice acting in it. But I had never gotten far in it, because I'm really bad at Puyo Puyo, and the computers are really, really mean. But if anything, I'll always remember, because it's like, I think it's the second stage, just the way the announcer says it. Squishy! I love that. But it's Puyo Puyo. It's pretty good in its own right, and despite Kirby kind of being a jerk in that game, other than that is cute, because you get to see all the Kirby characters, and they're doing fun stuff, and they're playing Puyo Puyo. And then, so we'll see, yeah, Kirby's Adventure, so I play the original Kirby's Adventure. I have a hard time really getting to the original Kirby's Adventure. I'm not sure why, but I just feel like Kirby Nightmare and Dreamland really kind of made it more accessible in some regards. I've never actually beaten Kirby's Adventure 100% because I can't figure out what everything is, despite having beaten Kirby's Nightmare and Dreamland 100%. Go make sense of that, because that doesn't make any sense to me, but whatever. But it was still fun to play, and it's really cool just to kind of see on the NES, because it was released so late in the NES's lifespan, just how much like stuff they could push into that system and still make it function well, have really good music and that kind of stuff. So it's still a fantastic game in its own right. And I was happy to actually play the original version of it, because I was like, now I can finally experience like the true history of Kirby. And then of course I would then play Kirby's Dream Course, which is a golf game. See, Mario, he beat you again to it. Kirby was playing golf before you were playing golf, except the Kirby Golf was super crazy with abilities and whatnot, and I think I still haven't beaten that game. I should probably get onto that, but it's super fun. I like just how like kind of puzzle-ish it is. It fits in line with the regular Kirby formula, and I like the idea because that's one of the first like Kirby games that has abilities in it that's not a traditional Kirby platformer game. And I think because of that, it makes it super unique with the abilities. There's not many you can use, but how you can use them really alters the gameplay, so that's really cool. And then, of course, I play Kirby Superstars and learned about all that crazy stuff like Revenge of Meta Knight and Dyna Blade and Milky Way Wishes. A lot of people go on about how they want to see another Kirby game like Kirby 64, which I also played finally all the way through, and that's still a fantastic game. Everyone's on about how they want to see another Kirby 64 with combining abilities, but it's like, well, Kirby's Dreamland 2 and Dreamland 3 technically already did that. I want to see another game like Milky Way Wishes, where you just get the powers, the abilities, and you just keep them, and you can just use them whenever you want. Like that'd be cool to like do like a full Kirby game like that, where you just keep the abilities and you use them for like crazy different puzzles, and if you like, you have to go back to stages later once you have a certain ability and that kind of stuff. But yeah, Milky Way Wishes, and of course, the arena, which is just a boss rush. Other Kirby games like Dreamland 2 and Dreamland 3 had boss rushes in them, but this one had a specific name, had really cool music to it, so that was really neat. Where are we going from here? I'm hyped up on Kirby now. Just hyped up, the brawl happens. And it was adorable. I love the adorableness of Subspace Emissary with Brawl, especially Kirby and Deity at the end, because they enter that creepy realm thing, and Kirby is saved because he took one of Deity's badges thingies, and they finally reunite, and Deity just tackle hugs him, and I love that scene so much, so adorable, and that's Kirby and Deity's relationship. They are sometimes mischievous rivals to each other, but they are still friends, and that's why I'm not a big fan of the anime's interpretation of Deity. Yes, and you can play as Deity in that game. I was so excited you can finally play as Deity, and you can play as Meta Knight too, I guess, but Deity, man, yes! And there's more Kirby stages in it. I do like the Halberd stage. That was pretty neat, especially in the Subspace Emissary. All the different like stages you can do on the Halberd, on the deck of it. That was pretty neat. And thanks to that design, they then did a remake of Kirby Superstar, which honestly is the definitive version of Kirby Superstar. If you haven't played the SNES version, that's fine. If you can pick up a copy of the DS Kirby Superstar Ultra, though, I would highly recommend it. The only thing you won't get to see is your original Capsule J, which. I'm sorry, Capsule J, but your descendant Capsule J2 will carry on the legacy, because Jet ability was introduced in Kirby Superstar. I love Jet ability. Because Kirby Superstar Ultra is a really good remake, just in like visually it looks a lot cleaner than the original Kirby Superstar, and it also introduced a lot of cool new sub-games into it, and just the Revenge of the King Man is like the ultimate treat for longtime Kirby fans, especially if you play the original Kirby's Dream Land and you know about the extra mode and that kind of stuff. Like that's just really, really great. I love that particular mode, and I like some of the other stuff too, like the new bosses introduced. One now recurring boss is Galactonite. I like that guy. He's pretty cool. And yeah, so like that was really cool, like a really cool remake, and I also have those really cool 3D cutscenes. I actually like those a lot. And then what else then happened after that? Epic Yarn. There we go. I was gonna figure that out. I'm trying to think. I haven't missed any Kirby games at this point. I think I've only missed one, but I'm gonna get to that because I played that on the 3DS Virtual Console. So yeah, Epic Yarn. It wasn't supposed to be a Kirby game initially, but it still has kind of that same Kirby adorableness charm to it, and I like it in its own right. It's super, super cute. It's fun to play. It's a very mellow game. It's a game that you just kind of relax to. I really like the concept of that in of itself. And it's a good multiplayer game, a 2-player, and it really shows like kind of just the way Kirby is just so adaptable to many different formats. He doesn't have to just be strictly platformer. He can do puzzle games, he can do golf games, he can do pinball, he can do the not Kirby platformer Epic Yarn. But that was really great. And I like the last world. Obviously, is probably one of the biggest appeals because it has most Kirby stuff in it. But definitely the snow world is probably like one of the best snow worlds in video games ever, to be honest. So that's really cool in of its own right. I know even if it was supposed to be a Kirby game, it became a Kirby game, so I'm counting it as a Kirby game. And I mean, they count as a Kirby game too, because Prince Fluff, the other main character from Kirby's Epic Yarn, he shows up in a lot of things too now in other Kirby products. So I love them. I have actually 2 patches of them that I still need to put somewhere, like on like a bag or something, because I should use them. So then after that would then be 2011, which would then be the big like. Basically, it seems like after Sakurai left HAL, they kind of were just like, Kirby does stuff? And that was like kind of where Canvas Curse, Amazing Mirror, and Squeak Squad all came from. But once they got this new director, Shinya Kumazaki, who directed the remake of Superstar and Superstar Ultra, he basically has this crazy plan to do all these super amazing things. And like any game he's directed, and he's been the main director for all the platformer games since then, has just been phenomenal. So we got Kirby Mass Attack and then Kirby's Return to Dreamland, both within a month of each other. Mass Attack is a very interesting and different kind of game. It's like a platformer Pikmin. And I really liked how that really played out. I like that they brought Shogo Sakai back, who did a lot of music for Kirby Air Ride, and he got to actually reuse some of that music as well. And it kind of showed like the different talents of the different composers, because there's 2 main Kirby composers usually. There's Hirokazu Ando and Jun Ishikawa. I think sometimes they get Tadashi Ikigami on as well, but Shogo Sakai mainly didn't do much Kirby music until I think until Air Ride, I believe, because he came on for Melee. And I mentioned Brawl already. I talked about Brawl. I forgot. I was like, did I talk about Brawl? I forgot I talked about Brawl because I'm still counting it because it's important because Kirby. But yeah, Mass Attack is really cool. It had a lot of different cool little mini games and sub games. It's really were a treat for longtime fans. It actually had like some anime references in it. It had references to old Kirby bosses like Dark Matter, so that was really cool to see all that kind of stuff. And the main game itself was actually a lot of fun. It was simple in its own right, but it still had a lot of kind of that usual Kirby simplicity yet difficult if you're seeking for it kind of mentality to it. So that was super fun. And then, of course, came Kirby's Return to Dreamland, which is the return of the Kirby platformer. Finally, a new Kirby platformer in about 5 years after Squeak Squad, since Superstar Ultra was technically a remake. And my gosh, just like pedal to the metal on everything. Those first 5 areas in Return to Dreamland are super fantastic, and I have done 2 Let's Plays on this already, one blind that's not super good, and one with the extra mode, so you can go check those out, so I don't have to bore you with stuff that I've already said, but yeah, that's a fantastic game. Get people together and play it. It was so fun to get to the end of all that, and then challenge yourself and do have friends all play the True Arena or something like that, because you could do that. That's super cool. I really appreciate that. It's not the same game that it was initially shown off back when it was going to be a GameCube game back in 2005, but it was still cool to have it in some capacity, and I like you could play as King Dedede. You could play as King Dedede for the very first time. That was really cool, and you also finally solidified Vandana D as an official character, and Vandana D has honestly been one of the greatest supporting Kirby characters ever since he was shown up in Revenge of the King Superstar Ultra. I love Vandana D. He's so cool. I wish the Waddle Dee amiibo actually was Vandana D, to be honest, but whatever. And so then after that, was then Kirby's 20th anniversary, and that was then when they had Kirby's Dream Collection. And that is a fantastic collection that you can track that down, because it has Dreamland 1, 2, 3, 64, Superstar, and Adventure, like some of the most quintessential platforming Kirby games from his early days. And it even had some extra stuff in it, like has this whole history room. Like, Hale doesn't like to half-ass anything. They really go all out to make sure that things are not only just appeasing to fans, but also to newcomers as well. So it's just, I love how much, like, details are in Kirby games. You may say that they're too easy or whatever, but you gotta look beneath that. The difficulty isn't there to just be like, oh, well, it's just too easy. It's there so that it's accessible to everybody, and when you pick up on all the little details and all the little, like, stuff they put into the games, it's just really crazy and incredible. All the great details they put in there. And the Dream Collection is like the prime example of this, because they could have just put in like, here's Kirby Superstar on a disc or something like that, but they didn't. They really went all out and made a really good collection. And I don't think they're going to do one that for the 25th anniversary, because, I mean, at this point, what else would you add to that isn't on, like, the Game Boy Advance? I mean, you could add one of the Game Boy Advance games. Could you make split screen Amazing Mirror? That could be kind of interesting, but I'm not going to worry about that too much. That would still be cool, though. And have another little history timeline thing like they did with the first Dream Collection. I don't know, sorry. But, like, a really good compilation package, and it had a really cool, good CD with some, like, different remixes on it and whatnot, so that was really cool. And then finally, we get to, like, one of the pinnacles. But before the pinnacle, I finally get to play Kirby's Block Ball. And my gosh, that's probably one of the best Kirby spin-offs, next to Star Stacker for me. It's essentially a breakout slash, breakout. It's kind of like Pong, where you have to bat the ball against blocks and whatnot. It is so good. It has its own unique composer that's not the ones I've listed before. I forget their name, but I think it's like one of their only composing roles for video games, and the music is super different because of that. But also it has its own unique feel to it. So it's just, I love how great all of that is as far as Kirby's Block Ball. And just, it's fun. You can use all different power. There's different powers in it. It's a really good game that I'm really sad that I missed when I was a kid, because I would have loved playing that game, like, to death, just like I played Kirby Star Stacker and Kirby's Dream Land 2. And I think, like, for Kirby's Dream Land 2, like, going way back to when I was a kid, one of my favorite memories is when I finally beat Dark Matter for the first time, and it's just that cutscene that plays, and they're all worried about Kirby, what happened to him, and I'm just like, oh man, just really, really good stuff. Anyways, we finally get to the pinnacle, which is Kirby Triple Deluxe, and this is kind of like where things are at right now for the Kirby series. If I've been on, they have unfortunately stopped now, but there was the Lost Levels podcast, and I was on 2 other episodes, and we discussed Kirby games on them. And I think the thing to notice about Return of Dreamland and then the Triple Deluxe is that this new, like, series director, Kumazaki, is just all about how can I up the ante and make the next game better. Like, that's what I feel like is going on in his head. Is he is not caring about let's make a sequel. He's caring about how can I outdo myself, because Triple Deluxe was so freaking good, and you can see that in the blind run I did of it, because I just loved that game. I loved Taranza. I loved all the little different sub games. I like that Kirby Fighters Deluxe and Dream Dash, or Kirby Fighters and Kirby King Deity's Drum Dash got their own separate versions, and obviously you can see the Fighters Deluxe version of that. But the King Deity Deluxe is also super great. I also love you can finally play as King Deity as its solo in Triple Deluxe. That was super great as well. And all different cool stuff that you got to see, like the cool callbacks to Amazing Mirror at the end of it. That was really neat. And then after that, we had Kirby and the Rainbow Curse, which is a return to the Canvas Curse style-like gameplay. Not the same, unfortunately, but still pretty decent, and features really good music from Shogo Sakai once again. I am a little odded out that they didn't use a lot of the remix for music. They have a long list of remix music in the game that isn't used. It's just there for sound tests. That's odd. I don't know why they did that, but it's whatever. That's fine. And the visual style of that game is so dang good. Like, this is what you got, like, a lot of people are like, graphics gotta make them realistic, but it's like, no. You can use graphics to make things look in a more, like, cool fashion if you have the means to. And I feel like the style of Kirby and the Rainbow Curse is super good with how cool everything, without like, it literally looks like you're looking at clay that could just come off of your screen at any time. I love that about it. And it also has some good multiplayer in it too. Not as great as Kirby's Return to Dreamland, but it's still pretty good. And I like that they returned to that style. I hope maybe we'll get another Kirby Canvas Curse like game, because those are still pretty good. And I really like that game as well. It has a really cool final boss. And then finally we get to Planet Robot, and we know about Planet Robot. You're waiting one last thing from me about Planet Robot, but you know I love Planet Robot. It's currently my favorite Kirby game, and I am just stoked. The sky is the limit for Kirby, and I guess there's technically 2 other games to discuss. There's Kirby, Team Kirby Clash Deluxe, which just came out. I discussed that a little bit on the last video. Really good. Can't wait to play it with friends. There's going to be Kirby's Blow Up Blast this summer, so we'll discuss that when it happens. And this weird fighting game that's coming up. I don't know what it is, but I'm excited for it. I just love Kirby. I love Kirby. Have I made that clear yet? I love Kirby. I never talked about Kirby's Dream Land 3. Because I would have it on the Wii. And Kirby's Dream Land 3 has the graphical style of it is just so freaking adorable. And I love the little things you do with it to help out the friends and stuff. And the final fight with Dark Matter is super cool. Just, lots of good stuff there. I'm scratching my head. I was seeing that show. I'm like, okay. But yeah. Planet Robot, super good, and just Kirby. So yeah, there's me gushing for about an hour about all the Kirby games in kind of chronological order, and maybe not with as much detail with some of them as the others, because I'm hyped up on Kirby. Now let me go and not go play Kirby. But I'll go play Kirby anyway, because I love Kirby. I love Kirby. Kirby, happy 25th anniversary. Thank you so much for being a long mainstay series, and for honestly just getting me super interested in video games. As well as not judging a book by its cover. I mean, I kind of judged Kirby by its cover because I thought it would be a cute little game to play anyway when I first played Kirby's Dream Land 2. But I've kind of always taken that approach with a lot of games. Like, a lot of games that I like or I grew up with either in childhood or as a teenager, all kind of follow that same, it's cute and silly, but why should that matter? Why should you judge it by how cute and silly it is? Shouldn't you just play it and have fun? So that's why I like a lot of games like Tomba and Billy Hatcher and stuff like that. And that's all because I just really think, from how I've played with Kirby games are adorable as far as the visual styles go, but they're not gonna slouch around and be just games that's oh, this is a kiddie game. It's a game for everybody, and that's the greatest thing about Kirby. And that's what I really enjoy, just playing through all of his games, and I'm excited to play through many, many more. I'm excited that I'm getting more friends interested in playing Kirby games like Air Ride or Team Kirby Clash and that kind of stuff, because they're super fun to play, and I hope Kirby has had a good birthday, and it's technically not even over. It's just Kirby just turned 25. It's now time to have the biggest year-long celebration ever. Team Kirby Clash is just the tip of the iceberg. So now it's time to have the best blowout ever. It's the cue Kirby's blow-up blast here. So, that has been KV's Chat Corner for today. I know I said the last video, what I'm always do is I'm going to say, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below and I'll answer them. I only have one question this time, and it comes from this person. She says, pretty sure she says, was that Frieza? Yes. Yes, it was. Anyway, I love Kirby. I'm gonna go dive into my pile of Kirby plushies right now. So I'll see you later, and I'll have a picture, hopefully posted to Twitter later tonight. But this video will be up tomorrow, so tonight will be yesterday, probably, but whatever. Kirby. Check out, again, this fantastic 50-minute remix of all these different Kirby songs. I'll put it in the description below. Haven't been paying attention to it much, but it's super dang good. So, hope you're all having a wonderfully great day. Again, leave comments for questions below. I might have another video next week because Kirby's not the other one who has a birthday. So, that will, stuff. Where'd my train of thought go? I don't know. Kirby ate it. That's what I'm sticking to. Kirby ate it, and it's perfectly fine because it's his birthday and he can eat whatever he wants. Thanks for listening, everybody. Ciao.